Welcome to your most favorite channel, Heartbeat. This channel is mainly meant for MBBS students and medical professionals. My name is Dr. Amrit Kejriwal, and I'm teaching mainly general medicine and applied medicine. As it is said, I learnt a lot from my teachers. I learnt a bit more from my colleagues, but the most I learned from my students. And I'm still learning, and I still consider myself to be a student of medicine. Today we'll learn nutrition. Nutrients are substances that are not synthesized by body in sufficient amount and must be supplied in the diet. Now, if these are not synthesized in the body and they are required for the body, obviously they have to be supplemented in the diet. So, absence of essential nutrients has got certain side effects. It can lead to organ dysfunction, it can lead to growth impairment, and failure to maintain nitrogen balance. If nitrogen balance is not there, you will get all the organs working wrong. There are various energy providing food: proteins, carbohydrates and fats. There are vitamins, minerals and water. These generally don't provide energy, but these are the required for the catabolism of the proteins, carbohydrates and fats. Even deficiency of vitamins, minerals or water can lead to nutritional deficiency. There are various factors affecting the diet. Age. Now when we come to the age, let us start from the very infants. The infants mainly require milk, and then as they grow older they require more nutrition. They start eating, and as they become older and older, this growth spurt occurs in their teenage, in which the dietary requirement is increases, and once they reach the young age or middle age, dietary requirement comes down due to decreased catabolism, and as they go older, the requirement is reduced. Genetic defects. This is also another factor that is affecting. Some people have Hartnupp's disease or celiac disease, which causes different dietary nutrition modifications. Intercurrent illnesses. Now these are various types. Now such as disease. If a patient has a disease such as diabetes, blood pressure or gout, his diet may be different. The person may be undergoing surgery, abdominal surgery such as cholecystectomy or colostomy or appendix. Again, in such conditions, there is a diet will change, and if there is any infection such as acute gastroenteritis, patient may not be able to take orally. So, in such conditions, the diet also changes. Premature infants have a different diet altogether. Energy intake. In the average male, the energy intake is 2600 kilocalories per day, and in the average female it is 18,000 kilocalories per day. Energy intake is equal to energy output. Balanced diet. So what do you mean by balanced diet? What are the basic principles? It should provide adequate amounts of necessary nutrients for a healthy growth and development of our body. Both sufficient and nutritious food to ensure good health, and sufficient amount of fiber and other nutrients provide the appropriate amount of energy and adequate amount of water. So these are the basic principles of a balanced diet. Objectives. So why do we need the principles? To maintain a basic healthy weight and energy balance, provide essential nutrients, high amount of fruits, vegetables, legumes, nuts and whole grains, to avoid malnourishment and other nutritional deficiency diseases, to avoid junk food. Then you need macronutrients such as the carbohydrates, fats and proteins, which are the energy providing foods, and the various micronutrients such as vitamins A, B, C, D, E, K, water and other minerals like calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, selenium, zinc, etc. As I already mentioned, these are not energy providing, but these are requirement for the catabolism of carbohydrates, fats and proteins, which are the energy providing food. Coming to proteins, there are some of them are non-essential amino acids. They can be synthesized in the body. Some of them are essential amino acids and cannot be synthesized in the body, and they are required as a nutritional supplement or in our diet. They can be remembered very well by very ill MP at Tata Hospital. V stands for valine, L for isoleucine, leucine, lysine, MP for methionine, P for phenylalanine, Tata Hospital means threonine, tryptophan, and H for histidine. Very nice mnemonic, very ill MP at Tata Hospital. And the requirement of protein is 0.8 gram per kilogram per day. And biological value is more for the animal proteins, but however many of us are vegetarians, so for them the legumes, cereals and roots have a higher vegetable protein, higher biological value. Requirement increases in certain conditions and requirement decreases in certain conditions. It can increases in periods of growth spurt, pregnancy, lactation and rehabilitation after injury or malnutrition. Requirement decreases in renal failure and cirrhosis of liver. Fats. They are concentrated sources of energy. They constitute 30 to 35% of calorie intake. Saturated fat and trans fat should constitute less than 10% of the total calorie intake. Polyunsaturated fat should constitute less than 10% of calories. Monounsaturated fat, remainder of fat intake. Carbohydrates. Carbohydrates constitute 45 to 55% of energy intake. Brain, 100 grams of glucose per day. Brain does not consume any other energy providing food apart from carbohydrate. So carbohydrate is a necessity for the human body, and 40 to 45% of energy intake should be by carbohydrates only. Other tissues require 50 gram per day. Water. The daily requirement is around 1000 to 1500 ml per day. It is increased by physical activity, sweating and solute load of the diet. Water loss can be through various sources. Feces 50 to 100 ml per day, evaporation 500 to 1000 ml per day, urine 1000 ml per day, and fever 200 ml per day per degree centigrade. And severe diarrhea can cause up to water loss up to greater than 5 liters per day. Heavy sweating and exercise and vomiting can increase the water loss, and this must be compensated. Normal kidneys can excrete up to 18 liters of urine. The factors that affect the daily recommended intake: age, sex, growth rate, pregnancy, lactation, physical activity level, concomitant disease, drugs, dietary composition. So these are the various factors that can affect the daily requirement. Dietary assessment. So many patients come to us with nutritional deficiency. There are certain guidelines of how to go for them. Screen for malnutrition, assess the diet and other factors, planning and implementing nutritional therapy. So we'll find out what is the deficiency, what diet is not taking, and reassessing intakes. If the BMI is greater than 19 or 25, the patient definitely requires evaluation. Weight gain or loss of 5 kg in 6 months requires evaluation, and the diet has to be seen why the patient is having dietary deficiency. In acute settings, the diet may be different. For example, patients having acute cholecystitis or acute gastroenteritis, or the patient may require IV fluids. There may be chronic settings in which the patient is admitted, like a patient of cerebrovascular accident and he is admitted, he can be given IV fluids or total parenteral nutrition. Or the ambulatory patients who are diabetic and have gone home, they require a different kind of diet. Malnutrition. It's seen in 30 to 50% of the hospitalized patients, and it causes poor wound healing, and this leads to compromised immune status, impaired organ function, increased length of hospital stay, increased mortality. And when the patient comes to you, you have to take the history. In history, you have to look for the body weight, medical and surgical conditions, constitutional symptoms and signs, eating difficulties and GI complaints, eating disorders, medication use, dietary practice and supplement use, influences on nutritional status. Examine the patient. See the BMI, look for weight loss, look for weakness and loss of strength, peripheral edema, hair examination, skin examination, eye examination, do the perioral examination, do the extremity examination, do the mental and neurological examination, and functional assessment. And you have to see whether the patient has sudden or gradual development of malnutrition, or it's mild, moderate, and severe. We have to see the grading of the malnutrition also.